Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. This is Kara Rouse with NCFlex, and we're here today for our November employee session. We're only 2 more days of November, a day and a half, right? And we are talking about the group term life plan that NCFlex offers. So we hold these sessions once a month. We do a different topic each month and try to tell you a little bit more about our plans, when you can enroll in them, and what they're about, so that when you can enroll, you understand them. Or if you're already enrolled in them, you understand the product that you have. So there is a chat feature. It's actually called Q&A. You are welcome to chat in questions as we go along. We are recording today's session. If we happen to have a lot of questions come up, we'll create a Q&A document. We had a few last week, not too many. And if we have a lot more, we'll create a document and post it online. And we'll also post the recording from today's session online. If there is a more intense question, like a question we feel like we can't answer yet, we'll either direct you to Life Help, which is the customer service for Voya, or we will ask you to email us and we can research something for you. So what we're going to talk about today is, what is group term life? Why is that different than other life policies? What is evidence of insurability when we talk about that with our product? When is it needed? How much the plan actually costs if you get the term life product? Additional benefits that come with this product, as well as continuation options after you leave the state, how you can keep the plan and take it with you, and then resources for you if you need more information. So first, before we start with this, I'll just mention that NCFlex, we fall under the Office of State Human Resources. We offer several different plans. They're supplemental plans to your medical. We aren't the same as the state health plan. We are separate, so ours is supplemental benefits, but we are sponsored by the state. And we're offered to universities, community colleges, charter schools. For those, they have to elect us to participate. And then we're also offered to agencies. We have about 125,000 eligible employees. And depending on where you work, if you move to another location that offers our plans, you can take them with you. And if you want to see any of our other plans that we offer, you can visit ncflex.org, and that will show you the other plans. Today, though, again, we're talking about group term life. This plan is administered by Voya. So for each of our products, we have a insurance group or a company that administers the actual plan, and we have to go out to bid to get that company. So for this one, it is Voya. This is a pure term life policy, which means there's no accumulated cash value. I have another slide to talk a little bit more about what term life policy means. With our term life policy, we do have the option of just the employee-only coverage, or you can also add on spouse and dependent coverage for children as well. If you do add those on, your premium becomes a post-tax premium, versus if it's just for you, typically it's a pre-tax premium, like all of our other plans. Additional plan benefits that are with the term life that you don't pay extra for, they just come with the plan that you have, and we'll talk about more about each one of these. But there's the accelerated death benefit. That's where you could get a payment up front if you're still living, depending on a couple of things. The funeral planning and concierge services, and the disability waiver of premiums that's available in certain circumstances. So the insurance amounts that are offered with this plan, you can choose between $20,000 up to $500,000 for you and your spouse. And it goes in increments of 10,000. So what that means is, if you could choose 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So you can move up in increments of 10, but you can't do like 25,000 or 35,000 because it's only in increments of 10. And there's a little note below that that just mentions that whatever you choose for your spouse, it cannot go up above what you choose for yourself. It cannot exceed 100% of what you elect for yourself. Now, in certain depending on the amount you choose, you may have to complete medical questions or evidence of insurability, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And for the children, you have a choice of $5,000 or $10,000 coverage. So what is term life insurance? There's different types of life insurance out there. There's whole life, universal life. I'm sure there's probably something I'm not aware of. Those are the main ones I know of. And with a whole and universal life policy, typically those are going to last for a certain amount of time. You're going to pay into them and they're going to accumulate value over time. And then you stop paying for them and they're there as a sort of as an asset for you, whether again, over a certain amount of time, and then it stops paying for it and you have that money. But typically those policies are going to be more expensive for higher amounts, whereas a term life policy, when you're paying money into it, it's not gaining value, but it's typically cheaper and you can get a higher coverage amount. So starting with the bullets I have on the screen, it pays a benefit while you are covered under the plan. So only while you're paying into it would a benefit be payable. It accumulates no cash value, like I mentioned, but it is less expensive than a permanent, such as a whole or universal life insurance. What term plan means is typically it ends after a certain amount of time, and then after that, a benefit would not be payable because it doesn't have a value to it. However, the NCFlex plan can continue as long as you continue premiums. There's a couple things on that though. If you are still paying at age 75 and you're still an employee, then your amount would be reduced by half. That's the premium and the coverage. And then we'll talk about towards the end continuing it, but basically if you leave the state before age 70, you can convert it. You can port it, which means take it with you prior to age 70 as a term life. But at 70, you would have to convert it to a whole life policy with Voya if you wanted to keep it. But again, if you're working, you would just keep paying into it as a term life policy, and then at age 75, it would reduce by half. Premiums increase over time as your age increases. We have 5-year age bands. And so depending on what your age is going to be on January 1st, that's what determines your cost. And that also determines your spouse's cost. And age 70 is the last increase that you would see. So evidence of insurability, which is going to be when they're going to ask you medical questions. And by that, when you sign up for life insurance, for our life insurance, depending on the amount, and we'll talk about what those amounts are, you may be sent a form to complete. And with that form, you would have medical questions you would answer. You would send that back to Voya. They would either approve it, deny it, or ask for additional information, which might be a physical examination from a doctor. So for newly eligible, that means if you've just become eligible for NCFlex benefits and you are still within your 30-day window, or if you have a qualifying life event and you are still within your 30-day window, such as marriage, divorce, birth of a child, EOI, evidence of insurability, is not required if the increase is consistent with the event. What that means is the event has to be eligible to add the life insurance. Things like I mentioned, marriage, birth, divorce is one of them, and I'm trying to think of another one. If your spouse loses coverage with their employer and it was also a similar policy, then they could add up to the guaranteed issue amount. So in these circumstances, you could add up to the guaranteed issue amount, and that amount for employees is $200,000, and for a spouse, it's $50,000. So those are just amounts that you can go up to without asking medical questions in these circumstances. If you're newly eligible, if you have a life event and it's your first time enrolling in it. Now, at annual enrollment, which is typically in October of each year, we just finished our annual enrollment for 2022. Let's say that you currently have the plan, but you haven't hit that guaranteed issue amount of $200 for you or $50 for your spouse. Then you can increase it each year by $20,000 without medical questions. So let's say right now you have 160. Next year you can go up to 180 if you wanted to. If you tried to go up more than 20,000, or if you went above 200,000, you'd be asked medical questions. And for your spouse, if you went above 50 for them, they would be asked medical questions. Complete. And so someone asked already, when and how EOI forms are provided to complete after you sign up. Typically, like for annual enrollment, you should be receiving those sometime in December, I believe, if you haven't already received them. I would say if you haven't received them by the third week of December and you want to reach out to us or you want to reach out to Life Help, and their information is at the end of this presentation, you can do that for a new hire if you're newly eligible. I would say, and you've enrolled in more than you're allowed, I would probably say within the next month or two, you should receive that form. They tell you you have 60 days to complete it, but if you do complete that form even later, they'll still accept it and consider it. Just know that the amount you chose and that is pending will not go into effect until that form is approved. It'll go into effect the first of the next month. Now, let's say that during annual enrollment, you have, again, 160, that's the example I'm going to use, and you increase it to 200,000. So that's a $40,000 increase, right? And you can only go up 20. Well, let's say that you get denied for the EOI. They will still approve you for that 20,000 increase. You just won't get the additional amount that you asked for. Now, let's say that you've never enrolled in it before, you don't have a life event coming up. The next year, for the first time during annual enrollment, you can enroll in $20,000, and you can enroll your spouse in $20,000 if you choose to enroll them as well. And for child coverage, this can be added at annual enrollment or during a life event or when you're newly eligible, and medical questions for that one are never asked. So these rates that are on the screen are also in our guide that is on the website, which I'll show you in case you want to go and look at those at any time. And they're based again on your age and on the amount you choose. So under the blue or light blue column, you'll notice the amount per $1,000 of coverage. Under the dark blue section, you've got some examples of how much it would cost, but if you want to know how much it would cost for the exact amount you choose, you can take that multiplier and multiply it by every $1,000 of coverage that you're requesting. And look at your age. Again, it's based on your age as of January 1st. Your spouse rate is going to be based on your age. So if you're younger, that could benefit you because it's going to be cheaper for them. If you're older, they'll be paying the rate for the higher age. And then for children rates, the amount for $5,000 is 68 cents a month, and these are all monthly rates. So if you're paid bi-weekly or semi-monthly, you would cut this in half, and that would be what you would get, or you would have taken out of your check bi-weekly or semi-monthly. So for children, again, it's 68 cents a month for the $5,000 of coverage and $1.36 a month for the $10,000 of coverage. That covers any children you have under age 26 that are not married. Voya is our one vendor that does not allow children to be covered if they are married. So again, if you have 5 children under age 26 that are not married, that $1.36 would cover all 5 children for the $10,000 amount. So let's talk about some of the additional benefits that come with this policy. So there is the accelerated death benefit, and what that means is there is a benefit that is provided to you if you are diagnosed with a terminal illness or a condition such as, and it mentions there, terminal illness. If you've been diagnosed with one and have fewer than less than 6 months to live, you can receive 50% of the death benefit while living. This also applies to your spouse coverage, and then that would reduce the benefit by 50% so that in the event of your passing, the additional 50% would be payable to your beneficiaries. And by the way, your beneficiaries are listed, or they should be listed in the Benefit Focus enrollment platform. So where you go to do your open enrollment every year, that's where you list your beneficiaries. If you have any questions on how to do that, email us and we can kind of walk you through it. I can tell you where to go online and click and stuff. And this is separate from the death benefit for the retirement system. If you do participate with them, that's separate from us. And then this benefit is also payable at 50% if you are diagnosed with a condition requiring continuous confinement. So if you have a medical condition that is reasonably expected to require continuous confinement in an institution and you're expected to remain there for the rest of your life, you can receive up to 50% of the death benefit while living. And again, the additional 50% is saved for if you pass away, then that would be payable after that. And then I did link the death benefit flyer here. So when I post these slides, if you're interested and want to click on it, or I'm going to show you where it's at on our website if you ever want to. If you have a place that you keep important documents and you want to print it out or you want to link it in a spreadsheet, then you could do that for anyone you want to give that information to. So the age limit for children is 26 years old. And Voya, most of or all of our plans, except for TRICARE Supplement, the age is 26 years old. The Voya plans do limit it to children who are not married. And the Voya plans include the term life, the accidental death and dismemberment, and the accident plan. Okay, so one of the other benefits that it has with this plan is the funeral benefit or the funeral planning benefit. And this has funeral planning, will prep, and concierge services with Everest. I'll show you the flyer. It gives you more details. And on the flyer, it also tells you how to go online and sign in, which is that website right there, everestfuneral.com/Voya. You do a new user and you enter your email address and state of North Carolina as the employer name, and it lets you log in, and then you can use the planning tools. And again, I'll show you, I can actually show you that really quick while we're talking about it. So let me pull up my, oops, let's see. All right, so you should be able to see my website now. So this is NCFlex.org, and as I scroll down, I'm going to go to the life insurance tile. Each tile represents a different benefit, and within each tile, there's a link to additional information like forms, certificates. This has the flyer on the accelerated death benefit that I mentioned, and then it has this funeral planning services brochure. So this talks more about the free benefit that you have if you do have this plan, the group term life plan. And on the back, it kind of tells you some of the things that are available, such as the online will prep. It's a tool that allows you to customize legal documents such as will, healthcare directive, power of attorney, and more. You're asked a series of easy to answer questions with helpful explanations and examples. And then based on responses, a customized legal document unique to your situation is created. So again, this is free. So if you have the group term life plan, you should take advantage of this. And then another thing that it has is the funeral planning services. And I think it might mention it on here. I can't remember. But I know that I've went on there before, and what it will do with the funeral planning is if you are currently in the process helping plan a funeral for someone, it will give you information on local funeral homes, comparisons of their cost and the services that they offer, so that if you're not sure which funeral home you want to use, then that's a helpful tool because you can look at what's available, or it might be an area you're not familiar with. So that is on this flyer, again, underneath the group term life, and then you click on the document section and you've got the funeral planning services brochure. There's the accelerated death benefit information. You've got your certificate here, which gives you lots of details. Again, if you want to link any of this to any sort of information you have to leave for someone. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint slide now. Let's see. All right, and the services, how to use them, that information is on that flyer, or you can pull it from these slides when we post those. So the third benefit that the group term life plan has is if you become totally disabled prior to age 70, you can request to have your life insurance premium waived while you are disabled. And that is your life insurance premium, not your spouse and children's premium, just yours. And the waiver does end at age 70 if you continue to be disabled. The waiver will stop. But in the meantime, if you happen to become disabled, just be sure to ask your HR department about any waiver of premiums that might be available, because some of our other plans have them as well. And you may not need to pay premiums on certain things while you're out of work. And then contact Life Help if you would like to apply. Their information is on that term life page that we had that I just showed you. It's on the back of our guide, probably on that flyer I just showed you as well. It's all over the place, but you can also reach out to us and we'll give it to you. So how and when can you enroll or make changes to your plan? Like I mentioned before, if you become a new hire or newly eligible, you have 30 days from that date, or if you experience a life event such as marriage, birth, divorce, or your spouse loses similar coverage to the plan. During open enrollment in the fall, we mentioned that. And then where do you make changes or do your enrollment? This is in the enrollment platform. It's linked to our website. If you scroll down and click enroll now, that'll take you to it, or you choose your employer and then it'll take you to it. Sometimes through your HR portal, you have a link to the enrollment system. There's also a phone number here, 1-855-859-0966, that you can also call to do your enrollment if you're in one of those scenarios. As a reminder, evidence of insurability might be required. And if so, Voya will send you the form for that. Just a little note, if both you and your spouse are eligible to choose this plan as an employee, as an NCFlex eligible employee, I went backwards on that. You must elect coverage on yourself as an employee, not as a dependent. So what that means is, for instance, both me and my husband work for the state, and I cannot choose spouse life insurance on him under this plan. He has to choose it as an employee because he is eligible. This is a rule that Voya has, and so we just try to make you aware of it. There's things in the system to try to prevent it from happening when your spouse is eligible or your child is eligible, because your child may start with the state as well and be eligible. But sometimes people still are able to add it, and we just want to make you aware in case anything happens. We want to make sure the benefit is payable that you've been paying for. And also, if you do have children, just be sure not to double cover them, because you cannot get paid out twice for the same child. So only one eligible employee may choose the family option or the child coverage in this instance. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, but if you do leave employment for retirement or for any other reason, or you lose eligibility, maybe you go to a temporary status or you drop below 20 hours to participate in NCFlex benefits, the plan is portable if you are not age 70. So portable means you can take it as it is, a term life policy with Voya, pay them directly. You could also choose to convert it before age 70. Conversion is going to be more expensive, but that option is there. And then if you are 70 or over after you leave, the plan can be converted to a whole life policy. And the whole life policy, we talked about that earlier. It builds cash value and the premiums don't change as you get older. However, the premium rates for conversion are going to generally be more expensive than the ported term life, but that is an option there. If you are interested in continuing the plan, once you leave, contact Voya's customer service, which is Life Help. Life Help is their own sort of company, but they support Voya. So when you're calling them, they are the customer service line for the Voya group. And that number that we give you is for our NCFlex group for you to call. And then additional resources, ncflex.org. We have pages like I showed you on all of the benefits with certificates, claim forms, flyers on different things. There's the enrollment guide, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then we have an email address, ncflex@nc.gov, if you would like to reach directly out to us. Voya Financial Life Help Customer Service, that's the number there. And then there's a claim center, claimcenter.voya.com. Typically, if you do have a death happen or your family has a death happen, I would suggest they call Life Help. Life Help can send out a claim form to the family pretty quickly, and they can also, if you also have the accidental death and dismemberment plan, make sure your family members know that if something happens to you due to an accident, that they let LifeHelp know you have both plans, which LifeHelp should see that, but just in case, let LifeHelp know. So let's see, we're done with the presentation, and so what we're going to do is look at some of the questions coming in. It looks like there's been a few that have been answered. Let's see. So if your child is a new first-year teacher at a North Carolina public school and under 26, can they still be covered as a dependent? Disappeared, sorry. As a dependent if they decline the life insurance coverage as an employee. So your child, if they work for the North Carolina public school system, most likely they're not eligible for the NCFlex benefits. Some of the, like I mentioned, some of the charter schools and some of the community colleges use our benefits, some don't. But if it is a true public school, not a charter school, they do not have our plans. And if they are not married, you could add them as the child coverage for them under age 26. But if they work for like a charter school that does participate in our plans, then they would have to enroll as an employee. And if you're curious, if you want to email us and tell us what the school is, we can tell you if they participate with our plans or not. Let's see. So there was a good question about the funeral planning, and does it include pre-death planning, such as you pay for the funeral selection in advance? As far as I know, through this program, you cannot do that, but you can, it would help you get in contact with different funeral homes in the area, and it may show you that they have that option. And then you would work with the funeral home directly to pay that sort of thing in advance. I know that I've talked to one before that I had to use for a family member, and they did allow that. So I think that is an option for most funeral homes. Let's see. All right. And then okay. So I think Linda's answering that last question. So if there are other questions, you're welcome to type them in. In the meantime, I'm going to show you the website really quick again. Just a couple of things you might find useful. Let's see, you should be able to see this. So again, on the main page, this is ncflex.org. As you scroll down, you'll notice, first of all, underneath the picture of the cardinal, there is an NCFlex continuation options at separation of employment. This flyer gives you information on continuation options for all of our plans, not just the life insurance. And it also tells you, for instance, what type of continuation it is, such as the cancer and critical illness are portable, the dental and vision, that's COBRA, which is a limited time deal. And on the second page, it gives you more information about what COBRA is, and it also gives you contact information for all of our vendors. So that flyer is right underneath the cardinal picture. Also, there's the link to our webinars page. The conversion to whole life. Let's see. So someone asked for a ballpark figure regarding how much the conversion to whole life is if you retire after age 70, and I'm not sure. I've never asked that specifically to Voya. I guess it would depend on how much you chose and what your age was. So you could call LifeHelp and ask them if they have an estimate for you in case you're interested. Like I mentioned, under the cardinal, there is the link to the webinars. And on here you have, we do have a December webinar that's going to be happening on the accident plan if you're interested in registering for that. And then down here, we'll have the recording from today's session. We also have other recordings if you hit the right button, and you can scroll down to look at some of the other things we've done recently. And towards the bottom is where we will post the slides. And I should have those posted by the end of the day today. And if you want them emailed directly to you, we can do that as well. I know someone asked for that, so if you want to email us, ncflex@nc.gov. And the other thing I'll show you down here at the bottom is the enrollment guide. This is where you'll find the details of all of the plans, including the group term life and the amounts or the premiums. So there's one for non-universities and one for universities. The only difference is the university guide does not have the disability plan. So we're getting a couple questions about, and I think Linda's typing in that one too, but the verification of coverage on these plans. And I know that there is, number one, in the enrollment platform, there's going to be your confirmation statement that you can print out. That gives you some brief detail on the plans that you're enrolled in, including the term life, what the amount is you're enrolled in. There is a more specific printout, and I think it's called, I can't remember, something detail summary report. And that can be printed by either us or it can be printed by your HR staff if you want to ask them for a benefit detail report from the enrollment platform. And then, like Linda mentioned, you can email us ncflex@nc.gov and we can print that off for you and scan it and send it to you. It has socials, I believe, on it, so we would have to mark those out before emailing it to you. Let's see. So if your child is married and you have them covered under the child coverage, what I would suggest is contacting your HR department and asking them to send an exception to our group to remove your child life insurance coverage. And we would look at that and let them know that your child isn't eligible because they are married, so you don't want to continue paying that premium on them. And if you're not sure who your HBR or health benefit rep is, email us ncflex@nc.gov and we can help you find out who that person is. So if a person continues coverage after they leave or retire, they pay the same as they did when employed, and 5-year age band rates are the same. As far as I know, that's true for the term life policy. I would double check with Voya, call them the Life Help number, but I believe that is the case, that you should be paying the same rate as you are as an employee for the term life plan. Let's see. Someone asked about imputed income. I think we actually have something on our website about it, but and Bob sort of answered that. But with imputed income, so like I mentioned before, our premiums come out of your check pre-tax. But with life insurance, it's a little more difficult because you can only have pre-tax amounts for up to $50,000. After that, you're supposed to be taxed on the premiums. But if you do participate with teachers and state employees retirement system, you have a death benefit with them, which can be as low, it won't drop below 25,000 and it won't go above 50,000. It's whatever your salary is at the time of death. And so the imputed income on your check is a way of fixing the pre-tax, post-tax problem with these premiums that come out for life insurance. And for the person who just messaged and asked for us to send a presentation to you, I've copied your email address. So once we hop off of here, I will send you the presentation. So like Linda mentioned, the printouts for showing that you have the plan are when you go into the enrollment system. And if you are on ncflex.org and you scroll down into the middle of the page towards the bottom, there's the Enroll Now button. And when you click on that, you're going to have the option to choose your employer. So if you are a Beacon agency, you would choose Beacon. That's the payroll system. If you are a university, you choose that, General Assembly. And otherwise, you would choose to access your e-benefit or your benefits via e-benefits. And they have print-offs of your confirmation statement there. But if you need something more detailed, let us know. Julie, if you want to email us, ncflex@nc.gov. And if you're looking for like a benefit detail report with more information on it, we can try to send you that and see if that's what you're looking for. And the anonymous that said, please send to you as well. If you're talking about the presentation, if you want to send us your email address, email us ncflex@nc.gov and we'll send it to you right after the presentation. Great. So family won't have access to e-benefits if the policy is ever needed. You want something separate from Voya. So I'm not sure that Voya provides that. You can always call Life Help and ask them if they do, but typically it's going to come from the enrollment system because that is supposed to be the system of record that holds the record of your policy. And someone asked about the plans through Voya, and it looks like someone answered that, which was accident, term life, and AD&D. And you'll see also, if you go on the enrollment guide, and I think it's on the back page, or you can go on that continuation options flyer that I showed you a minute ago. And on the back page of the guide, as well as that flyer, it shows you, you'll see Voya Financial, Voya Financial, Voya Financial for the 3 benefits. And then for the other benefits, you'll see the vendors. So cancer, critical illness are both Allstate. So it looks like the questions are starting to slow down. Let's see. So if you change your mind about the coverage through Voya, can you get this done through your HBR? So outside of open enrollment, the only time you can make a change to your benefits is if you have a qualifying life event or if you're no longer eligible. That's the only time you can remove the plan. We follow rules from the IRS because we are a pre-tax program, and we follow section, I want to say 529, but that's not correct. But we follow the IRS rules, and because of that, we have to only allow changes during certain periods, or else we could get in trouble for that. Okay. So again, if you have questions after the presentation, email us ncflex@nc.gov. We also, at the bottom of several pages on our website, we've got this questions button, And if you click the link, you can send us a question directly that way as well. If you're on one of the pages and just want to send a question, just let us know what product you're talking about. So if it's term life, specify term life. If it's FSA, specify that for us. And it looks like that's all of the questions. So we still have 5 minutes, but we'll go ahead and sign off. And if you do have additional questions, just send us a note and we'll be happy to help you. I appreciate you guys joining today, and I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you.